White House is defending President Trump's endorsement of controversial Senate candidate Roy Moore. Is the White House putting Moore's vote ahead of allegations of child molestation and the larger questions of morality? Joining us now with her take on that and other news items, counselor to President Trump, Kellyanne Conway. Always a pleasure to see you.
It's my pleasure, Christopher. How are you?
Better than I deserve. Let me ask you about this spin out of the White House that the president needs somebody who agrees with him and that he will endorse Roy Moore because that matters more than the accusations.
Oh, come on, that spin. Excuse me, that spin. You're not here to give your opinion. Here are the facts. When the president endorsed Luther Strange shot up in the polls tremendously by double digits. When the president endorsed Roy Moore, when he started to talk about Doug Jones, the opponent here, which you still don't want to talk about, but the president does, Roy Moore took a lead in the polls again. Why is that? Because the president himself came out and said he doesn't want a liberal in the Senate. He doesn't want a liberal Democrat in the Senate. He wants a reliable vote for taxes, for life.
You'd rather have an accused child molester than a Democrat?
The president also said something else that you don't seem to ever want to reflect, which is the president said Roy Moore has denied those allegations, and the president said you have to take that into account, too. You know, yesterday at a panel discussion here, at an interview here in Washington, D.C., right after I was interviewed, Senator Kirsten Gillibrand was asked by Politico, so do you think Al Franken should resign? Oh, I'm not ready to say that yet, she said. I'm just really troubled by this. I'm not ready to say that.
You see an analogy between the allegations against Franken and Moore?
No, what I see is hypocrisy everywhere I turn.
But how is it hypocrisy when the allegations are so different? You're talking about two different women who claim sexual assault.
No, excuse me, Senator Franken has already apologized, so he's admitted guilt, and his Senate colleague, he's already
That seems to be the mistake these days, is owning your responsibility. If you just deny it, it seems like you can become a senator.
No, well, first of all, that's up to the people of each state to decide. Minnesota will
If
decide.
it is, then why endorse him?
And
if you want to leave it up to the voters of Alabama, then stay out of it. You don't vote in Alabama.
Oh, okay. And does that mean that Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi don't want Doug Jones to win? The president has been so explicitly clear on this, so let me repeat it again for everyone who wants this to be as it's not, and everyone who's really disappointed that they couldn't tilt this race the other way by having people living in Alabama instead of covering what's going on in the rest of the country. Do you know everything that's going on in this country? The historic tax cuts for individuals and businesses, but we have people planted in Alabama on one single Senate race. You're telling the President of the United States not to get involved in a race, and the media have people.
I'm saying that if he says it's up to the Alabama voters, then don't endorse.
Living in Alabama, but somehow the president shouldn't get involved. The president has said he wants a vote. He's also said he doesn't want a liberal Democrat in the Senate. Nobody was even talking about Doug Jones until the president started talking about it.
That's because there are these titanic allegations against Roy Moore. That's why your own logic doesn't work here. The White House said the allegations are troubling, but not as troubling as losing that seat, apparently. So you'd rather take a gamble that maybe these are true, these allegations, but we get our vote. That's better than having a Democrat in there.
No, it's not right. Do you think Al Franken should resign? Because he's apologized. Do you think John Conyers should resign? Do you think all these people should lose their jobs immediately in the media, in politics, in industry?
Conyers did resign.
No, exactly.
I don't know what Franken's going to do.
Franken? Right, but should he? The question is, should he? Or are you putting party before morality? Are you putting
I'm a journalist. I'm not in the business of saying what could happen. I'm in the business of testing what you say should happen.
Fine. So let me tell you the hypocrisy that we see at every turn. Al Franken sits in the United States Senate right now. He has admitted this. And he had a Senate colleague yesterday in front of a glowing audience who won't hold her to account.
He admitted what?
Ask the question. Excuse me. Al
that
Franken
he took a stupid photo?
Christopher,
that's what he admits. He doesn't admit that he sexually assaulted somebody.
Hey, Chris, did you think he was groping? No?
I thought it was a stupid photo. I thought it was in poor taste, and he needed to own it, and he did.
Oh, okay. Of course you did. But you see that with your own two eyes, and that's your judgment. So here's the thing about
These are
Senator
accusations
Franken.
of sexual assault. If you flip the names in this race and Doug Jones had these accusations on him, you would talk about nothing else.
You never even talked about Doug Jones.
If he had these accusations on him, Kellyanne, you'd have his name tattooed on your hand, and you'd keep holding it up with the names of the women on the other hand.
Yeah.
Every day you would do it.
The only endorsement that matters in this race is President Trump's. And when he came out questioning the ideology and the vote of Doug Jones, he'll be a reliable vote for tax hikes. He'll be a reliable vote against border security. He'll be a reliable vote against national security and keeping ISIS in retreat. He'll be a reliable vote against the Second Amendment, against life. He's out of step for Alabama voters, according to the president. The president has said this. You have to reflect that. And here's something else that's
But it
very
seems like that
important.
you have no standard of morality. That it's all political
Chris, you're gonna
pragmatism.
say that to me, really?
No, not
Really?
you.
You're
I'm
gonna
saying
say
the
that to me?
president's position. No, I know you and I love you. I'm talking about President Trump. If anything, you benefit from bias on my half because I've known you for 20 years. That's why I actually listen to some of this stuff
hold
that
on,
doesn't
but
make
there's
sense.
something else
The
going on here.
president
The
seems to
reason-
have no moral standard at play
I will
then.
not let you
It's
say
all
that. The
political
president-
pragmatism.
The president has tremendous moral standards. He has said, the White House has said that the allegations are troubling. The White House is, the president himself
But
has also
they're
said.
troubling, but not
Excuse me.
troubling enough to do anything about them.
Okay, but wait, did we just hear you? Did you just tell the world that Senator Franken took a stupid photo and I don't know, exercised poor judgment, but that you're not troubled by that? Is that because he's a reliable vote for higher taxes? He's a reliable vote for no border security?
Yeah, I
He's a
love
reliable
higher
vote
taxes,
for-
Kellyanne. I'm not one
against-
person
No,
in America
no,
who
he
wants
is.
their taxes to go up. That's silly. It's a
Well,
silly
then why aren't
premise.
you fairly
I'm saying you're
covering- why aren't
comparing
you
what Al
fairly
Franken
covering-
did to Roy Moore to
No,
try to
I'm
help
comparing the
mitigate the
hypocrisy.
accusations against
No.
Moore, and it's
No.
obvious.
No, this is, let me just review one last time so everybody's got it.
Sure, do better this
The president
time.
has said the following. The president has said the following. The allegations are troubling. Roy Moore has denied them. The president said they're 40 years old. The president
So what?
said-
Who cares how old they are?
Excuse me, I'm reflecting to everybody so they have facts first, Chris.
All right, go
and
ahead.
We're talking apples and not bananas.
That's right. Don't be a
The
banana.
president-
Give me
that's
some
right.
more apples.
I see a lot of bananas. So the president has said the allegations are troubling. They're also 40 years old. Nobody came forward before. The guy's been on the ballot many times. Doug Jones is a liberal Democrat, the president has said, and he doesn't want a liberal Democrat representing Alabama in the United States Senate. Just like Kirsten Gillibrand and other Democratic senators who are saying, well, I'm not sure yet about the fate. They want a reliable Democrat to have that Senate seat in Minnesota, but you don't call them out on that. And I did want to tell you something else about Alabama. Last night, or about Governor Romney, because I've been watching all morning on your broadcast. Last night, the president spoke with Governor Romney, and the president says he's got a great relationship with Governor Romney. They spoke just last night, late in the night, after the congressional ball here at the White House, and they had a wonderful conversation, according to President Trump. They discussed, among other things, what President Trump did the day before in Utah with the national monuments and talking about historic tax cuts and the like. So I
it's
wanted to
not
let you
true
know that.
that the
What's not
president. So it's not true that the president doesn't want Romney to take Orrin Hatch's seat.
I didn't see Governor Romney file papers to run for Orrin Hatch's seat. Senator Hatch may run for re-election, and
Right.
the president, as he did with incumbent Republican Senator Luther Strange, he was supporting an incumbent Republican senator who's been a reliable vote for their shared
Right.
agenda.
So if Orrin Hatch
And getting
steps
back to
away, would he
Alabama-
support Mitt Romney?
I don't know. You're asking me hypotheticals.
Well, you just said
But
they have a great
good
relationship. Why wouldn't I
Well,
assume that the answer should be yes?
Yeah, well, listen, Governor Romney may want to be in public service in many different roles. And I just wanted to make sure that you know the truth coming from the White House. The President of the United States and Governor Romney spoke, 10 hours ago,
Okay.
less than 12 hours ago. And people should know that, because otherwise there's speculation and consternation, hand-wringing about who speaks for the president and who he speaks to.
Well-
The only endorsement that's mattered in Alabama is the president's, because he came forward for Luther Strange in the primary, and Strange shot up in the polls. He came forward, again, the president is against Doug Jones, does not want a liberal Democrat to represent Alabama,
Right.
is leaving it to the Alabama voters, and has said that he wants Roy Moore in the United States Senate.
And you feel good with that? You feel good with Roy Moore as a reflection of your party?
My feelings don't matter.
Oh, yes,
You
they
know
do.
what?
You
No,
are a counselor of the
here's what I
President of the
feel good
United
about.
States. Roy Moore is a
Yeah,
guy who
well,
talks
anytime
about
I
gay
express-
marriage as if it
anytime
were
I express a
bestiality.
Anytime I express a feeling about a candidate, people who want to make themselves relevant get airtime and Twitter time. So
Well,
I
you
won't
got to
go
be
there.
careful
They're
about
going
the
to have
Hatch
to find
Act. You know,
something-
I
They're
mean,
going to have to find something relevant and important to do today, make themselves feel better.
You have to
But
be
Chris,
careful
let me
about
tell
observing
you-
the rules
let me
of
tell you what
ethics
I'm
there,
proud-
but,
Let me tell you
you know.
what I feel good about. Let me tell you what I feel good about.
Yeah.
That Donald Trump's the president of the United States, that Mike Pence is the vice president of the United States. I feel great for all those forgotten men and forgotten women who are going to get a tax cut for Christmas and for New Year's and for the holidays.
All
I
those
feel
rich
great.
people who are going to get
I
that
feel
tax
great.
cut.
Oh, come on. Oh, come on. People in New York are complaining they're not getting their taxes cut.
The rich people are complaining because they're not getting enough of a tax cut.
You said
That's
earlier
right.
in this interview that you don't know, quote, a single person in America who wants their taxes to go
I
up.
don't. That's why leadership is
something.
hard. That's why leadership is hard, because
That's why
sometimes you have to
this
make hard
president-
choices instead of
that's why
rewarding the
this-
haves
excuse
all the
me.
time.
That's why this president, the haves, give me a break. That's why this president is cutting taxes. Lots of people
Not for the middle class the way he is for the upper class.
That is not true.
It's true on every objective scoring.
That's a flat-out lie. That's a flat-out lie.
It's not even close to a lie. It doesn't meet any of the criteria of a lie. It's not meant to deceive. It's based on fact, and it's a straight tell on what an objective analysis reveals.
Are you going to tell the middle class right now that none of them are getting a tax cut?
No, I'm saying they're not getting as good a treatment as the upper tier, and this was sold as advantaging them.
Their taxes have been steadily going up. They've been paying for out-of-control spending. They've been paying higher taxes. And you know what? We know people.
Yeah, and you want to get rid of the AMT and the estate tax, but you want to tax tuition and loans.
Here's what we want to get rid of.
Who's that helping?
Here's what we got rid of in this tax plan, if I may speak a full sentence here, please. Here's what we got rid of in this tax plan. All the special interest SOPs, all the credits and deductions and exemptions that benefit the wealthy and the well-connected, which the tax code does already.
Get rid of the AMT and you get rid of the estate tax.
The tax code is longer than the Bible and not quite as inspirational. It needs to be simplified.
Is this thing working? You got rid of the AMT and you got rid of the estate tax.
You know, this is the
Who does that help?
Cable. Excuse me. You work for the cable news network, CNN. It's not the CON cable opinion network. If you would just let me.
I'm telling you what is in the bill.
Package. No, this is what's in the bill.
You attack me personally all the time. It hurts my feelings, but it doesn't change where I'm coming from.
I'm not attacking you. I'm not attacking you. I'm merely saying if you would let me tell America what's in the tax package, then we can have a conversation about it.
You do, and then I have to check it against what you're not telling America.
You just told people in short order, which is really great, I hope that goes viral, that you don't know a single person in this country who wants their taxes to go up.
Who wants a tax hike?
That the middle class won't benefit from this package, which is a lie.
I did not say that. I said the middle class won't benefit the way the upper class will, and the bill was sold to them as advantaging them. That's what the president said. It's going to be for you, middle class.
The corporate tax rate will go from the highest in the developed world at 35% to 20%.
And it is a gamble that will inure to the benefit of workers. That is not a given.
Hey, Chris, you know what? Had the stock market crashed under Donald Trump's presidency,
you know, Donald Trump used to say, don't look at the stock market as a measure of Main Street.
Gone lower, that would be all you talked about. You'd have those fancy graphics. But here are the facts. When he got elected last November, the stock market was at 18,000. It's over 24,000.
Stock market's done great. Stock market's done great.
Yes, it is. And that's called causation, not coincidence. All the consumer confidence numbers, the manufacturing confidence numbers, the small business formation
because a lot of them are banking on getting big tax cuts that'll help their bottom line.
9.1 million female small business owners in this country, and I was one for 22 years.
Now you want to fight for women? You're endorsing Roy Moore, but now you want to hold women up on a pedestal.
Hey, Chris, I fight for women every day here. It's why I'm here. But I fight for the forgotten man and the forgotten woman. I fight for the people I grew up around who live paycheck to paycheck, who are white-knuckled at the end of each month to pay their rent and their mortgage, their tuition, or their student loan voucher. They struggle to pay for groceries, to fill up the grocery cart and the gas tank.
And are you helping them with their student loans?
I'm not here for the ubiquitous anchors making millions of dollars. I'm here for the forgotten woman. And let me tell you,
and they need the help
every single day.
And you promised them help, and this bill does not deliver them to a better place, to the disadvantage of the upper class, which is what the promise was.
Pull up the information from the Tax Foundation, state-by-state analysis.
Go ahead.
I would commend. No, go ahead. See what you're getting in Wisconsin. Nearly 20,000 new jobs projected. Over $2,000 for each household.
This is a trickle-down theory that we don't know if it will come to roost. But I got to ask you about something else that we skipped on. I got two more things I got to get from you. One is easy, one is hard. The easy one is the president spoke to Romney. That assumes that there is a good relationship. Why did he have his pit bull Bannon down there in Alabama taking the guts out of Mitt Romney yesterday, accusing him of not serving his country, accusing him of hiding behind his faith, saying things about Romney that are equally true about Trump and his kids? Why would the president let Bannon do that? Why wouldn't he condemn that if he wants to have a good relationship with Romney?
Well, first of all, you said many things in there that just aren't true. Sending him down there to speak for the president, that's not true. Steve Bannon has been with Roy Moore for a while now. He's down there supporting the candidate
what about what he supports
with the operation that he currently runs. I am telling you that this president spoke to Governor Romney last night.
Did he apologize for what Bannon said?
After that rally. I won't tell you the contents of the full conversation. I don't even know that was raised. I'm not even sure the president was aware of that because we had the president and the first lady stood in line for 3 hours taking pictures with members of Congress and their spouses, the cabinet, and
do you call out Steve Bannon for saying that about Mitt Romney?
Chris, can I finish?
Saying he hides behind his faith?
Whoa. Excuse me. And they were here at the Congressional Ball. We had a wonderful bipartisan event. I personally
I'm glad you had a good party. But what happened with that comment about Romney?
You're not listening. they spoke about a number of different things. This is a former presidential candidate and governor. This is the current president. If they can work on issues together of common interest, that's great. And that's so the president. The only endorsement that's mattered in the Alabama race, the one that's mattered the most in this race, is the president's, because after he came out against Doug Jones, and none of you seem to want to say those 9 letters, Doug Jones, that God forbid people find out who he is and who he would be in the Senate. So the president had to go out and do it for you. Thank you, Mr. President.
It doesn't make any sense. This isn't about hiding Doug Jones.
No.
This is about taking a position on what's been said about Roy Moore, which aren't just these accusations.
No, that's what you think.
He wouldn't let the 10 Commandments be taken out. He puts his faith before the secular laws of a society that is a secular society.
And tell me about Doug Jones. Give some equal time here. Give some fact second here, Chris.
Doug Jones checked the boxes as a Democrat. He's going to be a tough sell in Alabama. That's always true. He does not have these kind of accusations against him. He's not a man who said that his idea of his religion is more important than what the Supreme Court says, if he's going to be an administrator of the laws as the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of Alabama. And that's okay, because he's going to agree with the president, so the president's willing to swallow all that to get somebody who wants to vote along his way.
The president's been very clear on this. The president's been very clear on this. And you know that the Democrats are protecting their own who are already in office in large part because they want reliable liberal Democratic votes.
The president was supposed to be different. He said he was going to be better, that he wouldn't play the same games.
The Democrats have wasted an entire year. Literally, they wasted all of 2017
They're boxed
talking
out.
about 2016 and talking about 2020. I look at the people who want to run against Donald Trump in 2020,
They're
and I
boxed
laugh out
out.
loud.
They don't
What
have
did
the
they do in
numbers.
2017?
They don't have the influence. They put up amendments on things. They all get shot down. We know how the power dynamic works.
No. Excuse me. The Republicans passed historic tax cuts. They're in conference now.
Historic in what way is what we're going to have to find out.
It also repeals the Obamacare mandate. It opens up Anwar.
How's that going to help the little guy?
You know how it's going to help the little guy. We hear from the little guy every day, and I have to say, I'm starting to feel insulted on their behalf. They come here to visit us. I sat in the Oval Office yesterday with the president and 4 families. It was an open press event.
Because they want to be able to trust and believe in their government.
Did CNN follow up with any of those families yesterday who visited with the President of the United States and told him on camera?
I know he has his fans.
How happy they are about. Well, are they wrong? Are they misinformed?
I know he has his fans.
Chris?
No, they have hope. They have faith. They want things to get better. And you can't fault them for that. But let's see what you give them. I got to ask you about something else.
Go ahead. Harry, I have a meeting.
You know that this is a controversial move, moving the embassy to Jerusalem. From the White House perspective, how does this increase the chances of peace?
Donald Trump, as president, is doing something that several presidents have promised in the past. Let's review the facts here. President Bill Clinton promised to move the embassy to Jerusalem. President George W. Bush promised to move the embassy to Jerusalem. In 1995, by a vote of 93-5, the United States Senate agreed with that and said in 4 years they would do that. Instead, President Clinton did the 6-month waivers. President George W. Bush did something similar.
What reason did they offer?
Excuse me, it takes President Donald Trump's
What reason did they offer for not doing it?
To make good on a promise that they cited several different things, but this president
National security concerns. Nobody has an embassy in Jerusalem.
Chris, this president, the geopolitical reality is that the administrative state of Israel does exist in Jerusalem. That is where.
Why does nobody else have an embassy there? Why are European leaders and people in the Middle East saying this is a dangerous thing to do? Even the Pope said leave it the way it is.
So, Chris, this is what the American president said about the American embassy. Okay, that's what we're going to talk about here. This president's leadership spells the difference.
You don't like that the Pope's against it, Kellyanne. It's tough for us Catholics when the Pope comes out against us so close to Christmas. Go ahead.
Okay, great. But let me do a full sentence here, not just a semicolon, please.
Please, the way you speak is up to you. You'll get the time.
The difference between President Trump and past presidents, because they've all promised the same thing with respect to moving the embassy to Jerusalem, is that this president actually will do it. He has consulted with his national security and foreign policy team. He has consulted with the major players. And he has, look, remember when this president took his first foreign trip? He went right into the seat of the major religions. He started out in Saudi Arabia. Then he went to Israel. He was at the Vatican. This is somebody who, from the beginning, told the world that he is open to talking to different leaders and respecting all different religions. He has talked to Mr. Abbas. He has talked to Mr. Netanyahu. He has talked to many different leaders across the world. but he has most importantly talked to his national security and foreign policy team and is doing something that even Leader Schumer has agreed with. The United States Senate has voted with over 90 votes to do this. Were they lying? Was it just a formality? This is what people don't understand about Washington.
Because each president in succession from both parties have not done it. They've always taken the waiver because it would be seen as a destabilizing move, and they put the practicality above the politics. As important as the relationship with Israel is, destabilizing the region and giving way to what now has been called 3 days of rage by Palestinians was seen as not worth a political score.
I appreciated the earlier interview with your colleague Allison Camerata and the woman who was trying to explain why it's called 3 days of rage and not 3 days of annoyance or 3 days of protest or 3 days of disagreement. It's called 3 days of rage. It's pretty clear.
Yeah, the PLO lady ducked that. But the destabilization is a potential consequence of this. Why would you do something to aggravate it?
Chris, why did the Senate? Why does this have such bipartisan support? Were they kidding? Are they doing what people in Washington have done for years before President Trump got here to change it, to change the tone, to change the content? Why would you take a vote? Why would you put yourself out there and take a vote in front of your constituents, in front of the world, really, that you don't mean? This president means it. He promised it. He's delivering on it, but he didn't deliver on it in day one because he has been consulting with the leaders around the world. And most importantly, he's consulting with his own national security and foreign policy team.
Well, look, we're beefing up security there. Israel's beefing up security there. So hopefully nothing happens that is horrible. I would hate to have to go there under those conditions. Kellyanne, I appreciate you coming on this show. You're always welcome. I'm sure I'll speak to you before, but the best for Christmas for you, the kids.